Is there a specific goal or plan or rule about what happens if you have to go to paper ballots as far as how soon you get them there?
Yes, so if the voting machines can become start there. Yes, voting machines can stop working for various reasons. And if a voting machine stops working, it's important to point out that the votes aren't lost on it. It has 3 separate redundant memory locations inside the machine. The votes can be retrieved from the machine, but it may not be available for voting. And when that happens, if there's a significant number of machines that aren't working to where voters aren't able to vote or you are voting very, very slowly, then you can start using paper ballots. And every polling place has a certain number of emergency ballots on hand, and if machines were down, polling location technicians would be dispatched to that polling place to help get the machines back up. In the meantime, they would be using paper ballots, and they would be bringing more paper ballots from the County Election Commission office to the polling place to ensure that they don't run out of paper ballots there. And then the worst case scenario, if the machines are down, you run out of pre-printed paper ballots, the law allows poll managers to take paper and create a ballot if necessary, which can be voted by the voter and dropped in the ballot box and count just like any other ballot.
Okay. But there's not a specific rule as far as, by law you have to have more ballots there within 1 hour or 4 hours or 5 hours or whatever.
Not on time like that. The state law says there should be 1 voting machine for every 250 registered voters. There should be at least 10% emergency ballots in the polling place. But there's not a time limit on the machines have to be corrected in a certain amount of time, or more paper ballots have to be brought out in a certain amount of time. Obviously, the county election officials would be working very hard to get those ballots out, to get the machines corrected and back up and running in a timely manner, but also to get paper ballots out there in the meantime so that they don't run out.
Any idea, because we have a lot of reports of machines down in the upstate, there was 1 machine down at the governor's polling place that got fixed, but any idea how many machines statewide out of how many have gone down?
I haven't seen anything to indicate a systematic statewide issue that's affecting multiple machines. I have heard sporadic reports from different places and don't know the reason that any specific machines would be down. So I guess I don't have the complete information on that at this point.
But these machines are sold, the company doesn't even make them anymore?
They don't manufacture new machines anymore, so there are machines available on the market. They have supplies of machines that they haven't sold, the manufacturer does. Other states that have moved on to other voting systems sell their machines, they refurbish them, make them almost new again, and you can purchase those machines. So there are machines on the market available, but they don't produce new machines at a factory anymore.
What's the plan? I don't remember how old these are. How long have we had these, and what's the plan for replacing them?
We've had these machines since 2004, so we're over halfway through the machine's life cycle. So, I think we would definitely use them in the next election. After that, it's questionable. So the State Election Commission, the last 2 budget cycles, have gone and asked for some seed money, some money to get started to add to an account to say, hey, in the relatively near future, South Carolina is going to have to look at purchasing a new voting system, and we need to start saving for that now, need to start preparing for that now, and so we'll be asking for that in our budget again this year. And soon, relatively soon, in the next 4 years, we'll be having a conversation in South Carolina about what our next voting system will be.
People who've been waiting in line and the machines are down and they're having to use paper ballots, and some people are worried about those, but some people are even waiting on paper ballots. When we vote in 2 years and there are a lot more statewide races, what can you tell people to assure them that it won't go like this?
Well, every county election commission has to reassess and make sure they have enough machines to meet the law. Voter registration's increasing. We'll have even more voters 2 years from now. So, they may need to get funding to go back and purchase more machines for the next election if we don't have a new system by then, which is unlikely. But they'll need to reassess, make sure they have enough machines available. Any machines that are down, if if they're not usable anymore, they'd have to look at replacing those. So there'd have to be some preparation to prepare to get ready for next year.
So it's up to the counties to make sure, is it up to the counties to make sure they have enough machines and they're working right?
Yes. All voting machines are owned by the County Election Commission, and they're responsible for making sure they have an adequate number allocated to each precinct.
So back to, in terms of the replacement, so 2 years from now, not likely, but 4 years from now, probably?
4 years from now, I'd say possibly. It's all dependent on funding. It's dependent on the General Assembly to provide funding to purchase new machines. When they were purchased back in 2004, when this system was purchased in 2004, that was done with mostly federal money that came out of the Help America Vote Act of 2002. And there's no indication that there's going to be any federal money coming up in the next 4 years. So it's incumbent on South Carolina to prepare for our elections in the coming years. So I believe that'll be a topic of discussion in the General Assembly coming up next year and in the years to come.
Any estimate on how much a new system would cost?
The current system was $36 million in 2004. What a new system would cost would depend on the type of system it is. So it's hard to say. It would not be inexpensive, though. You're talking millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and likely tens of millions of dollars. So, but again, it just depends on the type of system that the state would purchase. And really, right now, today, we don't know what types of systems are going to be available in 2 or 3 or 4 years when we would be looking at purchasing a system. So that makes it even more difficult to pin down exactly how much it would cost. But we can look back and see how much it costs to purchase this one, $36 million, and that gives you an idea of what a statewide voting system costs.
Some people who are voting with the paper ballots are worried. They're concerned that they won't get counted right, or they'll get lost, or something. I don't know. What assurance can you give people who are using paper ballots?
The paper ballots, when you vote a paper ballot, you drop it in a locked ballot box there at the polling place, and those votes are counted just like those voting machines votes are counted. So they will count. We just ask voters who are experiencing long lines today to be patient, and we thank them for their patience and thank South Carolinians for their enthusiasm in voting. I think, while it sounds like there are some machines down out there, I think a lot of the issues we're hearing about today are just a simple effect of the sheer numbers of people who are voting this morning. It's tremendous turnout. We broke an absentee record. That has carried over into this morning, and South Carolinians are turning out this morning in droves. So some of those lines, the lines aren't all due to voting machines not being operational. Some of it is just the sheer numbers. And a lot of people try to vote before work, and those lines last into the morning. I would hope that those lines would be a little better this afternoon as fewer people vote in the early afternoon. Now, it'll pick up again after 5, and as the county election commissions address some of these issues we're seeing at the polls, getting everything back in line, and that those lines would shorten as the day goes on. After 5, I think we'll see them lengthen out again, though.